Hey team, welcome to another Bullpen Bulletin with Coach Hart and Building Better Baseball. Today, we're going to talk about how to balance winning and teaching. These are two of the biggest thing coaches have to do in youth baseball is some of them like to win, a lot of people like to win, but also we have to teach, right? So how do we balance teaching, almost teaching winning to these players, but also teaching the skills to these players? It's a hard balance, but today's video, we're going to dive right into it. And remember, I'm Coach Hart. This is Building Better Baseball, the best place for baseball education. So let's get into the how to balance winning and teaching as a youth baseball coach. So the first thing I want to talk about is the three types of winning. All right, now this video might challenge your viewpoint of winning, and that's what it's supposed to do. That's why I made it. I wanted you to think outside of the box when it comes to just teaching your kids how to win and just the idea of winning itself. All right, so the theme for the video is young players can be a winner in several different ways, and it depends on how you measure it. How do you measure winning? All right, so teaching these kids that they can be winners in multiple different ways is really powerful for them and their success. So there are three different types of winning young players should learn from a coach. All right, the most popular one that everyone talks about, 99% of kids, the win-loss record, right? So the win-loss record is winning a game, winning a tournament, winning the season. So literally on paper, winning a game, having more runs than the other team, right? So that is what everybody thinks about when they deem themselves winning or being a winner. All right. But the other ones that I want you to think about is achieving team goals. Okay. We're going to talk about that. And achieving individual goals. We're also going to talk about that. All right. So the win-loss record, let's start with this one that everybody knows, right? If you ask the question, what does it mean to be a winner? 99% of youth players would think of winning a game or tournament or whatever, right? Something that has to do with the win-loss record. Although this is true, so this is obviously true. If you win a game, you are a winner, right? Most players don't have any other definition of winning. That's mostly why they say the win-loss record is because they don't really associate winning with anything else rather than what's on the scoreboard, right? And there are just many other different ways where you can be a winner, all right? This can impact a player's growth because they eventually associate their worth as a player, and really sometimes if it goes deeper, sometimes even as a person, so their self-worth, to winning or losing. So it's almost like if you fail, that does not mean that you are a failure. All right. So it's kind of the same thing. If you lose a game, if your team loses a game, that does not mean that you are a loser. All right. And that's kind of where this goes into is these kids, they only think of being a winner as winning a game. So therefore, the opposite is if they lose a game, they think that they are a loser. Right. And that's kind of where this can get into, and it can really impact their growth because they start associating their success and they start associating their self-worth as a player to their win-loss record. And let's say that they're not on a great team and they have 0 wins and 10 losses. Then what do you think they're going to think about themselves if that's what they're associating their baseball worth to, right? If that's what they're attaching to. The goal of this video, why I made this video, is to help coaches teach players to detach from that win-loss record idea and mentality, and just kind of you can focus on other things even if you're not winning games. All right. Now the second one is team goals achieved. All right. So one area outside of the win-loss record is achieving goals. Okay, so this is really important for young kids to understand is that even if they're not winning games, they can still accomplish team goals and that means that they win. They can associate that with winning, right? Young players need to start putting more value into achieving goals because as I say later on in this video, that is a life skill, right? So achieving goals, setting goals, achieving them, that's a life skill that they can use. And they need to start putting more value into that. I feel like there's not a lot of they almost don't take it seriously. Like they think it's just like, oh, I'm setting a goal, and if I don't achieve it, I don't achieve it, right? And there's just more to it than that, and that's what these kids need to learn, all right? And coaches, you can help them learn that, and just being their coach. So coaches can help teach this skill by vocalizing when their team achieves a goal. So if you have a goal before a game to not have an error or only have one error, all right, and at the end of the game you accomplish it, in your post-game speech, say, hey guys, we won. You guys are winners, right? You guys are winners because we only had one error. That was our goal and we achieved it. You guys won, all right? Even if you didn't win the game. That gives the kids something to look forward to and something to build them up, just more than the win-loss record, right? This helps players detach, like I said before, this helps players detach from the all or nothing win-loss record mentality. Because that's really what it is. It's an all or nothing. It's a you won, you lost the game, right? I'm a winner, I'm a loser, right? It's just an all or nothing mentality that the kids need to detach from. And it gives them something else that they can be proud of, right? So you should start incorporating these other types of wins and introducing these other types of wins to your players so that they have something to build them up and something that they can almost look forward to even if they are not winning games. All right. So individual goals achieved. And individual goal achievement is kind of the same idea, right? Let's say a player is on a team that doesn't win many games and consistently performs poorly on the field, the team I'm talking about. So they're on a team that doesn't really win any games and their team always makes errors and performs poorly on the field. All right? If that player associates his worth as a player to the team's lack of success, he has nothing to build him up. If that is all he is associating his self-worth to is his team winning and losing, then he has really nothing to go on. And I hate to say it, but he might not be in baseball for long, right? Or he might just jump to another team or whatever, right? He will not have fun playing he will not be having fun playing baseball if that was what he is attributing his success to, right? So individual goals achieved. These three ideas, just all three of them, the win-loss record, the team goal achieved, and the individual goals achieved, these three ideas give players three distinct areas where they can win, right? And as coaches, we have to just kind of teach these kids that there's more to baseball, there's more to the game than just winning games, right? You can win in so many other areas, and it's so important to kind of just teach these kids that there's just more to it than the win-loss record, all right? And like I said before, I feel like a lot of kids, they don't really have any other definition rather than the win-loss record. So let's give it to them. Let's give them other reasons to be successful, other reasons where they can win, where they can kind of use that win to build them up. All right. And I'm going to talk about how this all ties into balancing winning and teaching later on. All right. But these are the three types of winning that I want you to take with you and try to teach your players. Okay. Three types of teaching. Now we're going to go into the teaching portion, right? Going to the teaching aspect of coaching youth baseball, coaches also need three distinct areas where they can win, right? So teaching is not all about just one thing in baseball. It's a lot of different things. And if a lot of coaches, they're not great at everything, right? But if you're great at one thing, you can have that one thing to win at, all right? It's really important to have those wins to kind of build you up like we've been talking about. So there are three main areas coaches can focus on when teaching baseball skills. All right, individual skill teaching, team skills teaching, and everything else teaching. And I'll explain this later. All right, but these are the three areas we're going to talk about for teaching. Now, individual skill teaching. Individual skill teaching is exactly what it sounds like. It's teaching the skills to individual players. All right. It is all of the fundamental skills of hitting, fielding, pitching, base running, all the things, right? This is kind of what people think about when they think about coaching baseball or whatever, right? They think about teaching the kids how to hit, how to pitch, the fundamental skills of the game. All right. This is really the foundation of a youth player's baseball experience because individual skills are easier to understand and comprehend than team skills. All right. So this is really their foundation. This is them working with themselves on how to perform these skills and how to improve these skills. And as a coach, we have to be able to just kind of teach these skills to make them help each kid improve at baseball, right? If coaches can grasp this, then they've already won. So if you are great at teaching these baseball skills, these individual skills, then you've already won. you've already won. It is not an easy thing to do. And if you have this, then you have already won. You don't even have to worry about anything else. All right. Team skills teaching. Second one. Team skills teaching is mostly referring to defense in the field. All right. So this includes baseball situations like bunt defenses, things like that, cutoffs, relays, rundowns, fielding bunts, everything like that. As a team, how are you performing and what you do on the field? All right. This is where coaches can really take their team to the next level. So if you can grasp this and you can get your team to do this, you're really taking your team to the next level of the baseball development. Right? It's one thing to have a bunch of great individual players. So that's one thing. But having a team who can operate as one unit on the field is something entirely different. That is a whole nother animal, right? You can have a bunch of individual players who can hit home runs, throw 90 miles an hour, whatever. But if they're not performing together on the field, then that's another thing, right? And this team skills teaching is just kind of that second tier of coaching where you teach the individual skills, but also just getting a grasp on the defensive skill work. And this also incorporates teamwork where the team has to work, each kid has to work together and work as one unit. And that is something that's hard and it's not an easy skill. So this is another area where you can be a winner as a coach. All right. So the last part, everything else teaching. Okay. This area of teaching includes every role you play to these young players that isn't a baseball coach. If you've been following me for a while, then you know I'm all about the life skills and you're way more than a baseball coach, right? So talking about the life skills that they can learn through this game, all right? So learning from failure, goal setting, being a good teammate, responding to adversity, consistent daily practice that leads to compounded results in the future, and everything like that. So everything else that is not individual and team skills, everything else you are also teaching to your players. All right. And all of these are critical to a youth player's growth as a human being in general. And you as a coach play a critical role in their development as a human being, not just a baseball player. So we're working with, 6 years old, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 14 before high school, right? This is their most impressionable years and they're growing as a human being, not only physically, but mentally, socially, everything, right? And we are their rock. We are their mentor, their role model, their everything, right? So everything else teaching. And this is really the essence of coaching, where if you are okay at baseball skills, you're okay at team skills, but you're a great everything else teacher, then you are an amazing coach and you are a winner. Right. So this is kind of the teaching aspect, like I talked about with the winning aspect, where coaches can find wins in different areas of their coaching, right? Or of their teaching. Now we're going to get to the end. We're going to talk about strategies for balancing these two, the winning. And when I talk about the winning, I want you to think about those three types. And when I talk about the teaching, I want you to think about those three types. You're almost thinking like, how do we even balance it? There's so much, right? But here, it's almost, I'll explain. So the one thing that I want you to remember from this video is make winning inevitable. Make winning inevitable. Teaching and winning are one and the same. Think of them as a cohesive thing that is one. Okay? They both work together to make a great coach or make a great team, right? Now, focusing on teaching your players is so much more important than focusing on winning a singular game. All right. So if you are focusing on winning a game, you're placing all of your value as a coach, all of your value in your team on that win-loss. And that is out of your control. Who knows what's going to happen in the game where you might lose the game? Teaching your players is the essence of coaching, is teaching your players the skills, the team skills, and the everything else, right? So focusing on teaching your players is so much more important than just focusing on winning a game or a tournament or whatever, fill in the blank. All right. Now, if you focus on teaching, if you focus more on teaching, winning games is inevitable. All right. So think about this. If you are teaching your players skills, right, they are now improving those skills, their skills. You're teaching them team skills. You're teaching them how to work together on defense. You're teaching them how to respond to adversity, how to learn from failure, how to be a good teammate, all of those things, all of those teaching aspects. The only result that can come from all of that is winning, right? Now, the difference is you're not placing your focus on the win itself. You're not telling your players, hey, we have to win this game. You're telling your players, hey, we have to execute this rundown. Hey, we have to, do this when we're hitting. We have to do these things that we talked about when I taught you. And then a win is inevitable. It's gonna come because your players are automatically improving. Right? Does that make sense? That's my mindset on balancing winning and teaching. I view winning and teaching as the one and the same. And if you teach, then you will win. If you successfully teach your players how to get better and improve at baseball, both individually and as a team, then the only thing that can happen from that is winning, is being better on the field and scoring more runs and beating other teams. Right? That's how I feel. That's how I look at it. Let me a comment. Let me know what you think. I know this, like I said, it might challenge your viewpoint a little bit, and that's my purpose, right? I want to do some challenging here. So let me know what you think in the comments. But if you focus on teaching, winning games is inevitable, right? Balance the hard times. So this is where you can find the small wins, right? Balance the hard times by finding small wins to be proud of. Find those small wins of, hey, we didn't make an error today. Even though we got crushed by 30 runs, we didn't make an error, right? Seems kind of counterintuitive, right? But just doing things like that. Hey, even though you didn't get a hit today, you got out on 3 line drives, right? You smoked the ball. You hit the ball really hard. It just got caught. Those small wins, that is a win. Even though the player got out, he was 0 for 3 on the paper, right? He won because he hit 3 line drives. He struck the ball, right? He squared the ball up. Balance the hard times. If your team is struggling and you're not winning many games, find those small wins in every day. Set those small goals. Set those goals for your team and individually and as a coach, and try to accomplish those goals and highlight those for your team so they are aware. Right? Because all they see, if you're not highlighting these things, all they see is that win-loss record, is that scoreboard where they lost the game. But if you come in and you're the coach, you're the leader, you're the mentor, you're the role model, and you say, hey guys, we did so well today, even though the scoreboard doesn't reflect that, we did so well because we didn't have any errors. So-and-so hit the ball really hard, and we did all of these great things today, even though we didn't win the game. We are winners. Right? And if we start doing that, if we start teaching those kids that there's so many other ways to win rather than the win-loss record, and that just helps to build them up, which will help them improve at the game, which will ultimately lead to winning more games. All right. So teach your players that there's so much more to baseball than winning games, and you will win games. Right? So if you teach them that there's so much more to so much more to baseball than winning games, then ultimately you will win games, right? So I hope this made sense, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope this kind of challenged your viewpoint a little bit. If you have this if you think of the winning as a win-loss record only, I hope this kind of opened your mind a little bit, made you think outside the box of how you can reach your players and help them detach from this win-loss record mentality, this all or nothing mentality, where you can teach them that there's so much more. There's so many more areas where you can find wins, and if you do those things consistently, then the wins will come, right? But the biggest thing is winning and teaching is the one and the same. If you teach your kids, then the only thing that can happen is winning, right? So before you go, grab my free coaching starter pack. There's a bunch of things in there that'll really help you out, get you set on the right foot. So feel free to grab it if you'd like. All right. So I'm Coach Hart. This is Building Better Baseball. I'll see you in another video real soon.